Can you all hear us?
I think the sound is on now.
Okay, the sound is on. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Again, rewind. And sorry, Nabil, I think they don't hear you. Yes, they can hear us, but not you.
So,
That's what they say.
I think the thing is quiet rather than they don't hear them at all. So you pump up the volume.
Thank you all for bearing with us.
If the Japanese fighting game dev roundtable had this kind of issues, we're allowed to have those too. So I think we're fine.
Let's wait from the chat.
Looks good.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the third time again.
Take it from the top.
One guy says no, but who knows?
Oh, it is all good.
We're getting mixed messages here.
No. Yeah. Well, if someone says it works, then it means it works. That's the rule.
Don't feed the troll. Okay.
I think that's gonna work now.
If it works for someone, so it means that the others doesn't. They don't have their sound on.
Is it working? I think it's working now because I added that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's do it.
Third time's the charm. Thank you guys for being here. Again, my name is Nabil, Neo Geo now, and this is the first time we're doing this, the SNK Community Roundtable. We have a selection of some of the best SNK community members, and we're here today to talk about a very important topic and for all of us fighting games fans, and it's rollback, or netcode, and specifically rollback netcode. Now, before I go ahead and introduce the members of today's roundtable, I just want to make it clear that this is not an official SNK, community like SNK roundtable. This is not sponsored by SNK, which means you guys not gonna get any reveal, no trailers, no Terry, Andy, Meyer, whatever you're expecting to happen today. It's not gonna happen. It's just a bunch of fans talking about an important topic. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the the talented people I have with me today. So I have Gil Stole My Ride over here. I have Sinjul, Frionel, Lord Grimulus, Sugar Bear, and Violent Kane. And before I let each one of them talk and tell us a little bit about themselves, I just want to tell you a short story about how this whole thing happened. Now, when couple weeks ago, a lot of people were expecting SNK would announce the rollback netcode in that the Japanese publishers roundtable, and there was the whole SNK rollback movement, which we're gonna definitely talk about today. And after that, I made a video where I said, what I thought about the whole thing, and there was a misunderstanding where people think that I said the whole thing was stupid. So there was a little bit of misunderstanding between me and Gil Stole My Ride. We had a discussion, and this was before SNK actually officially announced a rollback for the King of Fighters 15, and he proposed that we do a roundtable and let everyone express, what we think about this, and I thought it was a great idea. We went with it. Of course, SNK did announce rollback for King of Fighters 15, but we thought it's still going to be a good idea to have everyone here talking about what they think about the whole rollback and the whole netcode. Mm-hmm. And also, it's an opportunity for us to get together and talk about King of Fighters 15 in general. With that said, I'm gonna let the talented guests present themselves. So I'm gonna start with Gil Stole My Ride here.
Hello, and nice to see you all in the chat. I am Gil. I am the sort of co-host of this whole roundtable. And as Nabil said, I was the one that sort of reacted to the video, and I was like, wait a minute, let's talk about this. But I knew it could go sour, and I was like, why don't we turn it into something positive? I know SNK is loved by many people, not just competitive people like us, and I want to explain how we can connect communities through Rollback when it comes to events, when it comes to passion, when it comes to interest. So I will just to frame that, and now I will leave the word to anybody that wants to take it. I think we're going to talk a little bit about KOF 15 and the reveals and the directions it is going towards, and a little bit, about the marketing, whatever. Really, it's going to be a casual conversation. We're going to go into the rollback section a little bit later. So we're going to have a little bit of a chat and pick everyone's mind about this.
All right. So thanks for that. Let's go ahead and hear from Sinjul.
For KOF 15.
I just said generally what you think about it.
My introduction. My nickname is Sinjul. I live in Frankfurt on the Main, Germany. I've been playing fighting games since 2006. I've been a TO since 2010. And currently I'm leading To Be Community, which is a group of German tournament organizers. And we are hosting Challenger League, which is a European online league since last year, currently season 2. And we had KOF 98 UMFE last season, this season 02 UM and 98 UMFE. So yeah, that's what I do at the moment.
Thank you so much, Sinjul. Frionel?
Oh, well, my nickname is Frionel. I'm an old old-timer in the SNK community. I've been playing fighting games since the beginning of the jar, when I was a little kid in the early 90s. And I've been, a competitive KOF player for a very long time. I also was a tournament organizer. I did some tournament commentary, helped with the publishers, the tournament organizers, and many different things on the FGC. And and I'm a big KOF fan and SNK games lover. Yeah, and I'm currently in Morocco, North Africa. That's it.
Thank you, Frionel. Lord Grimulus.
Hello, guys. My name is Grimulus, and I'm the head elf at Elf. That's short for East London Fighters, for those of you who don't know. We've just entered our 5th year of providing fighting game events for offline and offline for both the UK and the EU. Personally, I've been around for a very long time. I think I'm probably the oldest person on this panel. I'm not ashamed of that at all. It just means I've been enjoying games far longer than most others. As far as SNK is concerned, I'm a huge KOF fan. I've been literally playing, most of the entire series. I missed a few of them in the middle, but that kind of happens when you're my age. I'm really looking forward to 15. That's going to be really hype, especially how they portray Ikari. But that's my 2 seconds.
All right, thanks a lot, Grimulus. Sugar Bear.
Yes, my name is Sugar Bear. I am a Sam Show 7 competitor, commentator, as well as tournament organizer, and one of the spearheads for Parsec in our community, which I'm sure we'll get into later. Run a lot of tournaments using that resource. I guess I don't have the pedigree of a lot of folks here, but I've been watching and enjoying fighting games for a long time. I've been a big part of Sam Show 7 in North America. I am from the States, but I'm here on behalf of Canada, North America, and Mexico for Sam Show 7. So I'm excited to talk to everyone today. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sugar Bear. Violent Kane.
Well, everybody knows me as a record player. I'm a big SNK fan. I'm a big SNK fan, and I'm here to talk about these issues that has come with the community. And I'm representing all the Latin America players.
Well, thank you so much. So now that we know everyone here, so the first thing I want to talk about, since the netcode part is the meat of the discussion. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the King of Fighters 15. What's happening with the game? Like I've talked to some of you before, different interviews about, it was before we saw the King of Fighters 15. Now we saw the King of Fighters 15, right? We're getting trailers every week, which is Pretty awesome. So, what do you guys think of what we saw so far? Are you guys excited? What do you like? What are your expectations? I mean, you got to shatter those expectations, as SNK said. But let's talk about them a little bit.
I'll take the word on that just because I think it's easier if we go in order from where we started, First of all, I'm absolutely loving the Shatter All Expectation, both slogan and the way they're going about their marketing. This is super important. This is something new. This is something that keeps on our toes. They're trying to put surprises in, presenting a character. Are they on this team? Oh my God, are they on that team? Is that character going to be back? That's very smart on a marketing level in keeping the fans excited and talking. And the fact that releasing weekly the trailers is also great because you as a way to promote a game, you got to keep the people talking, and I think they're doing it really well because they release a trailer every week. Sometimes they throw a random character in there that might not be connected to this or this character. You think, are they in the team together? Are they just talking about another team entirely? And then before the next trailer, they put those little lore artworks to talk a little bit about, maybe a restyle of the character. So I think on a marketing level, this is something really good and new for SNK, which in my opinion has struggled before with marketing. So I'm really excited about the game and seeing this.
All right, thank you, Sinjo.
For me personally, I'm also pretty excited because so far from what I saw in the trailers, the game looks like it will be popular in Germany because we are kind of stuck in '98 and people are not really big fans of 2002 because it's too difficult. So like from what I got from the trailers is that they go back to the more simpler KOF gameplay. So far, we have not seen any like special to special cancel. It's just special into super cancels. And I think as well, right now the trend is kind of simplifying fighting games, but I feel KOF stays KOF. It looks KOF, and just I guess it's going to be 98 with super cancels. And I think with that, the game will probably be more popular than the nightmare difficulty in 13 and the also kind of execution heavy 2002 so I'm looking forward to that. The character trailers are well done. They're getting better and better every week. So yeah, I can't really complain about what SNK is doing. I'm looking forward to every Thursday, and I mean, they already shattered some expectations with the character trailers. I mean, we got Shizuru, which it was always like a coin toss: is she gonna be back or not? And now we got one of the fan favorites back, and yeah, that's very promising, I think.
It is. Frionel, you take?
Well, I'm gonna stick with what my colleague already said. Of course, I'm really excited with everything that's going on. I tend to say that these expectation moments, these trailers, times are part of the game life. So for me, it's like the game is already there. It's already real. I love this part of a new game, especially a new KOF, and of course. SNK knows that, and they are playing with that by releasing, things very step by step. Only few information. You have to dig on the trailer and watch it frame by frame to try to understand, analyze any new thing on the gameplay. And they know that, and we love it. So I'm completely in KOF 15. For me, the game started, even if you cannot play the game yet. But this is how I feel, and I love this kind of marketing. And also regarding what we've seen. I'm a KOF 14 player and lover. I wasn't convinced about the game visual, but it wasn't ugly enough to not let me enjoy the game. So I'm a part of these guys that, if it's good to play, I'm going to play, and that's it. And I'm really happy and glad to see that the game visuals did really improved a lot. even if you're not familiar with the game and you see that from far and you hide an eye and maybe try to see it blurry, you're gonna see the same games, maybe, I don't know. But for us that been into those games, we can see the difference, we can feel the difference. The latest trailer with Andy Bogart shows that difference. Like, I mean, he went from the worst looking character in KOF 14 to a very handsome guy, like he's like a prince, you know, in the game. And I'm loving what I'm seeing visually. Also for the gameplay, where I'm maybe not gonna agree with Sinju regarding the direction the gameplay is gonna take. Of course, we haven't seen anything regarding cancels of special moves and things like that. We have no information on what the max mode system, because we know there's a max mode system. We've seen some effect and things like that, and we've seen some meta use that allow us to think about one of the use of the max mode system, but we haven't seen anything regarding that. But there is one very exciting thing, is the ability to use the EX moves outside of activation. This is something that for me was the evolution for the KOF gameplay in KOF 13, because it gave more deepness to the gameplay. We lost that in 14 because they wanted to get the game a little simpler, you know, and easier to understand. So the EX moves are a way to do combos in max mode and have an access maybe to a limited neutral advantage. Let's gonna call it like that. But I'm really loving the fact that they came back to 13 with these EX moves, and also the effect of the EX moves is looking like, you know, interesting neutral game-wise. You know, you have like super projectiles that wins over other projectiles. You have maybe like invincible moves for characters that don't have measureless invincible moves. You have combo extensions and things like that. So I'm really excited about that. Just that enough in terms of gameplay make me feel that the game is going to be deeper and maybe more complicated. Not complicated, but maybe more like rich, I don't know how to say it, than KOF 14, and I'm really excited about that. But let's see what max mode's gonna give. Let's see what are the other new features. But from what I see now, I'm really excited. Just give me the game like that, 14 with EX move outside of the max mode. I'm happy.
Yeah, the max mode, that's the $1 million question right now. So I guess we'll know soon. Thanks, Frionel. Lord Grimulus.
All right, so before I give you my thoughts, Frionel, we really do need to get that run back again, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
That loss for a very long time, and like, you know, I've had time to think about it, and I'm ready for you now.
Whenever you want, bro.
Right, so to capitalize on what Gil said, I actually do think that SNK have been doing a great job with marketing, and they have always done a great job with marketing. I think the main issue that we're going to have with KOF 15 is player retention. At least that's what we're going to have in the UK. Because what tends to happen over here is people pick up the game and they say, oh, this is really great. And then they think, well, actually, this is actually quite hard. I don't like this. Or maybe the lobbies are crap and they don't work properly. Or maybe the netcode isn't as crispy as they might like. And they put it down after the first month or two and they don't come back again. So as long as we get those things out of the box, I should have said, then I think that we're going to be golden. I don't know, like Frionel said, what the gameplay is going to be like. I don't particularly care because I'm going to play it anyway.
Yes, let's go.
You know, this is the life of an SNK fan. You see an SNK game, you say, take my money and I'll play it. And this is kind of the camp I'm sitting in. Whatever happens, I'm going to put on SNK events for it. My guys are always going to be ready to innovate with events. Interesting events, trying to push the boundaries of that.
Grimmel, sorry to stop you. Your audio is coming and going. It's very. I don't know
is it?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to be closer to the microphone, if that's a possibility.
Let's see. Does this work better?
Yes, this is better.
That's how Grimulus is stuck now.
Okay.
ASMR Grim.
But yeah, so what was I saying? We're always going to do events for it anyway. So regardless of the game, regardless of how it plays, you know, you can always count on Elf to actually put something forward. But yeah, that's pretty much where I said.
All right. Thank you so much. Sugar Bear?
Yes. I'm mainly a Sam Show 7 guy, but being a Sam Show 7 guy, I'm obviously in contact with a lot of people who are longtime KOF fans. And, being a Sam Show guy, the success of KOF is very important to me. So I've been, watching very intently. And I guess most people have touched on the subjects that I think are most relevant here. I think one thing that I was going into looking for is starting with KOF 14. I always felt like SNK, when it came to game design, the game itself, they were going to hit the mark. The question was always going to be how it looks. And though people might, this might be sort of contentious, but I do think both are required. As a competitive player, we're most focused on the gameplay. But to say that graphics don't matter, I think is just inaccurate in the grand scheme of things. The people who purchase these games are more than just competitive, and that's part of why we're here. So, after 14, when there were rumblings of Sam Show maybe coming out, those are the big thoughts on my mind. I know it's going to play great. How's it going to look? I feel like they delivered with 7, and you look at these trailers, I saw some people complaining. I don't know what the heck they're complaining about. The game is gorgeous. I trust them to put forth good gameplay. It sounds great. So I'm satisfied there. But to echo, Grimlis touched on this. In America, right now, in North America right now, we do feel strongly that the rollback has to be there. Everyone loves SNK. They want the best for SNK, but really, at least for the competitive community, it's a package deal that they need to see that. And it's really getting towards a breaking point with them where if it's not there, they're not sure if they can support. But beyond that, everyone's super excited. It looks good. It sounds good. And I've got confidence SNK is going to deliver when it comes to gameplay. So people are stoked.
All right. Thank you so much, Sugar Bear. Violent King.
I want to start with saying that, to be honest, I'm really an SNK fanboy. I love SNK games. And even like if I get things like KOF 14, when it came out, it was we gotta acknowledge it. It was trash. The game was trash when it came out, but it got fixed along the way, and it is a great game today. I don't mind like saying what is my truth. When those first trailers of KOF 15 came out, I really liked Shunei. I really loved the Maiden Gun, even if I don't like the character. The Maiden Gun scenario, it is dope. When they revealed Benimaru was going to be in the team, it was like, what? But I was getting hyped. So then Yuri came out, and you know what happened. I got really excited about that. Then this happened. I don't know why they do that. Well, there are like some assumptions. Then they got out the Joe trailer. I don't know why they do that. If they had the Treasures team, why? I don't know. The people say that it was because that Dan was announced the same day. But I feel like they destroyed the hype at that point. I really like Joe. I like the character. I like how he looks. I don't like how the tornadoes look, but overall he's good. But they destroyed the hype, and that happened with a lot of players in Latin America. So that was a bad move. Then Kyo came out. Kyo looks really good, but I feel like the model isn't finished. And I'm telling you this because I got asked a lot in my stream, what do I expect from KOF 15? And I always told them, I don't care what happens. I don't want to know what characters are going to be in the game. I don't care about the story. I'm not going to speculate about anything. I just want SNK to take their time and do the things right, because the things they did in 14 are not acceptable today. I'm sorry, but they are not acceptable.
Agreed.
And from what I've seen, they are rushing out the game because Street Fighter 6 is coming up. I don't know, whatever, but it feels rushed up. Then G0 came out, and the model even doesn't have shaders. Man, there are some frames that like she looks good, and then in another frames she looks like she doesn't have color. So I don't like that, to be honest.
Do we want to
So-
get the... Oh, sorry. I thought you were finished. My bad.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Valentine. Go ahead.
Was there more? I wanted to hear the rest of what he had to say.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
more to say.
And regarding that's really, really, really important. A lot of the community want a good presentation. I think the community deserves that. The fans deserve that. And the netcode is really important, especially that we are in a pandemic and we cannot have presential or casuals and tournaments. And I feel like the balancing, it is not that important when the game comes out. It can be patched out, but we gotta get good visuals and good netcode. And well, the characters, we know them, so I don't have a complaint about that.
All right, thank you, Valentine. And we have a surprise DLC guest character that just showed up out of nowhere. So you probably know him, Oroshinagi, Francois Allen. Thank you for joining in. So we're talking about the King of Fighters 15. So if you can just tell us what you think about what we saw so far from the trailers, your expectations and hype.
Okay, first of all, hello everyone. I've met like every single one of you apart from Sugar Bear. So hello, Sugar Bear. Nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you, as
Yeah.
we say. Right. Right. That's a bit of a big topic. I thought we're just going to introduce ourselves and talk about something else. But okay, cool. Yeah. That's took me by surprise. Okay, I'm very prepared. Right. Totally terrified, to be absolutely honest. But some parts of a lot of the trailers have reassured me that we're going in a good direction. I mean, Andy was a real, right? Everyone knows like the whole. I don't know. Stop me if you've already discussed this, but the whole meme situation, right? Going from PS2 Tekken to L'Oreal, right? We're in a good spot. Right now, we're in a good spot, but it was terrifying to think what was going to happen next. But we've got new developers working on the models. We've got new things going on, and it's looking good. SNK has been messing around with our expectations. I still think Crispy Kaiser is just reading all the comments and just going, right, okay, let's change the trailer to this one, right? And, It's all great. It's all looking good. Of course, there is the matter of netcode, and I think that might be something we want to talk about later, right?
Definitely.
I think that's going to be kind of important. So if you know me, I've been working with the community, organizing tournaments as everyone else here has been doing, trying to get people to play the game. And one of the things that holds us all back is just connecting with each other, right? Just trying to play with each other. And that's it. It's like if you played like King of Fighters 12, if you think King of Fighters 13 netcode is bad,
Don't go there.
I got news for you, buddy. I got news for you, buddy. And one of many stories is like I introduced King of Fighters 12 to a whole lot of students. After class, they were all playing it, getting into it, and then they tried to go online, and they were like,
It was bad.
It was bad.
"Okay, I'm gonna go play some other game now." Right? Thanks for that. That's yeah. So netcode is really, really important. I guess that's what we're really here to talk about.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, King of Fighters 15 is looking great. It's looking good. There's always going to be somebody moaning about something, but so far it's looking good. And I think it's going to be a real nostalgia trip, right? It's going to be a lot lot of people asking questions about like who are these three Sacred Treasures team? Who's just Chizuru, Bird, whatever crane thing? But for the old school fans, it's going to be serious, retro, fantastic nostalgia, throwbacks, references, everything. And so if this doesn't make the hardcore old school happy, I don't know what the SNK can do, man. That's it.
If I could just actually hook to this, because I think it's really important. I absolutely 100% get what you're saying, Alan. And you know me, I've been playing like the oldest of games and the most dead of games, like things like Martial Masters, like even putting their name out there is like, what? But yeah, regardless of that, it is important what you're saying, but at the same time, I think it's also part of a problem with SNK, because yes, the hardcore fans, the retro fans, they will all be happy, right? There might be some things like, I understand what Violent Kane is saying as well, because the game is looking much better than 14, right? I think we can all agree on that. But at the same time, I'm expecting more. Like looking at other games as a company, you need to look at other games, right? And I personally absolutely hate the let Arxis do it meme. I'm not one of those, right? I'm not the like, the games all need to look like Dragon Ball, all need to look like Guilty Gear. Absolutely not. Artistic style, perspective, presentation is to each person, right? Each company and so on, each product. But at the same time, I understand where Violent Kane is coming from with some of the problems. The quality is still behind. And I think it's because the what's it called? The experience of SNK, let's admit it, is 2D, right? We've all been, for the largest part, a 2D developer. The 3D products of SNK that really spring to mind are simply not there. Does anybody remember a very good looking and functional and great 3D game from SNK?
Good looking?
Sam Show
I'd
7.
argue Sam Show 7. I think Sam Show
Samurai
7
Showdown,
looks
yeah.
great.
That's the thing. Like, it's like literally yesterday. Does that make sense? Before
I like Kudelka.
I have no idea what it is, so I'm
Okay.
Okay,
I like Kudelka visual.
Kudelka, that was the RPG on the PS2, was it not?
Yeah, exactly. PS1.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
PS1.
There might be. I don't play RPGs, but yeah. To go back in topic, I think a huge problem that SNK has, and I think we need to address, as Grimulus was saying, is player retention. And player retention doesn't just happen magically. Like, we are stuck 20 years ago. As a franchise, we are stuck in the late 90s, beginning of the mid 2000s, because we're simply not there. The marketing is not there. The presentation is not there. The network environment is absolutely not there. And the brand recognition has been suffering for like 20 years because of this. Because like people cannot be attached to a brand if they cannot play it. Now, if you're a lore fan, if you're a collector, if you're just generally people that play against the CPU, the story, the content is there. And, arguably it has been doing better than, say, the big title, Street Fighter V, because Street Fighter V at shipping had nothing, right? If you look at the KOF 14 or Samsho, there's, the dojo mode, there's the party mode. You can do things. They just don't work well. And if you are trying to sustain a player base or a fan base, you need to evolve. You need to get back with the times. Like, just look at this panel. No offense to anyone, but we're all old. Like, we don't have a 15, 20, 25-year-old kid driving events. And the absolutely only game in terms of fighting games that has that's breathing new life into our community is Samsho. Samsho has had new people come in. Samsho has new people organizing tournament. Samsho has one of the best players in Europe and North Africa in my Donuts Lamon, which just turned 18 like 3 months ago, which is beautiful to see. We're just not used to it.
He's a guy we need to keep hold of, by the way. We're not allowed to let him go.
Yeah. So that's my point. Yes, everything is nice, but we're all stuck 20 years ago in the way we saw SNK 20 years ago. If you come into the scene, or into the fandom or whatever, you have no idea what you're looking at. Absolutely no idea. So
Gil, can I tack something on to what you're saying, just because
Yeah.
I feel like it's relevant? You had mentioned, Sam Show has a lot of content, just not a lot of it functions properly. And I think we also need to mention that specifically with something like the lobbies, we've known that it doesn't function properly for about a year now. We've seen no indication from SNK that they care.
Yeah,
I think that's a problem.
Yeah, and
I actually remember.
sorry.
I actually remember that when the game came out, I tested the online play, and it felt better than KOF 14. And KOF 14 it is like a good input delay based netcode. But I don't know what SNK did. There was a problem with lobbies, and they updated the netcode, and they didn't fix the lobbies, and they like f up the netcode.
I think there was a lot of
I think. Well,
updates,
okay. Let's. I'm just gonna, tell my 2 cents about the whole thing. We'll start about the look first. I think King of Fighters 15 does look great. I really think so, and I think we're looking at very early build. And I think this is when you show something that early. I think it's a double-edged sword. It's great. You see the game evolving, but if you judge it right now, I think it's a little bit too early to judge how the game's gonna end up. We're probably looking at the game coming out at the end of the year, probably. But I do agree with one thing, is that King of Fighters specifically is kind of daunting for new people, right? And I do agree with that, and I hope SNK is gonna address that. Both in terms of story, King of Fighters has some of the best stories for fighting games, and if you are a new fan jumping into 15, it's going to be a little bit difficult to try to understand what happened before. So I hope they're going to have some sort of recap. I mean, they said they're going to do like an anime short. Hopefully that they're going to explain for new fans what the story is. But also in terms of gameplay, it definitely needs some sort of proper tutorial mode that's going to help people coming in. Samurai Showdown is easy to get into, and that's why we saw a lot of newcomers. It's pretty easy when you look at it. It's one of the most the simplest fighting games out there, right? It's anybody could play it, and newcomers can start winning and defeating other people. King of Fighters, not so much. You have to put in some work, and in order to do that, I think hopefully SNK is going to do that. A lot of fighting games have very extensive tutorial modes and training modes. Hopefully they're gonna do that. So I think it's a little bit too early to judge right now what SNK is doing with the King of Fighters 15. I think, as I said, for them showing us something this early, it's good for us fans. We're really happy to see things. Some people might not like it because they're judging it based on what they're looking at, but I think it's definitely too early to judge.
Just if I can comment on what you said, you mentioned it. It's gonna maybe a really early build, and going from what we've seen from other games, I think what we see is what we get. I think there are not gonna be any big changes, because going by KOF 14, okay, throughout the trailers, we've seen some improvements, but I mean, SNK had to patch the game, like had to do a graphics patch at some point. What was it, like half a year after the game released or something? But then it's already too late. So I'm not 100% sure. I hope they're gonna improve the game, but I think right now the game won't improve too much. And just a quick note regarding Samshow 7 in Germany. When the game released, we had quite a few people try out the game, but the net play was non-existent, and we are all kind of scattered in Germany. So living in a dense area, you still have like maybe 3 or 4 players that play the same game. So in that case, you need to play online, and kind of the game never took off in Germany at all because the net play was not possible. So when we hosted Samshow tournaments, well, for example, at my event, we had top 3 consisting of players that had never touched the game before, because nobody else really played the game that much, because it was just not fun playing it online.
Sinjul, can I ask you to clarify your comment real quick? I just want to make sure I understood.
Yes.
When you said that the net play for Sam Show 7 was non-existent, was that because the netcode experience was poor, leading it to be non-existent, or there were no people interested to begin with?
First thing, yeah. So the netcode, well, like I'm going to touch up on this later on when we talk about netcode in more detail. But yeah, so from what I remember reading in the community chat, people just said like, yeah, this game is unplayable online. I won't play it anymore.
Yeah, and sorry if I barge in, but I really think it's important with player retention thing and the Sam Show as well. I will say a harsh truth here. For a normal game, for a fighting game, your retention period for people to stick with the game is about 2 to 3 months. For an SNK game, I'm sorry, is 2 weeks or less. We are fighting a different battle, and it's 100% down to the net play environment and the brand recognition and the what's it called, the size of a scene. A lot of people, especially today in the quote unquote new generation of fighting games, only try games based on the fact if they can random matchmake or not. We are the generation where we can play with 10 people and be fine, right? Go on Discord, ask for matchmaking, play with the person that you've been playing for 5 years. It's a great experience. I'm happy. This is not the rest of the player base. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, just excuse me. I just wanted to jump on that point. The 2 weeks and 4 months, 3 months, and things like that. Just on that point, it depends on where you are. This is in Europe. Maybe North America is true. And I lived in Europe and I know what is going on, but it's not the same case in other countries. It depends on the impact of the SNK brand and the SNK games. It can change. I just wanted to comment that.
For sure.
Actually, I want to add something to that. That just happened in Mexico. A lot of players stopped playing Sam Show just because of the netcode.
Thank you.
And that's a big SNK land.
Add something here, right? So finally, to respond to your point, Gil. Yeah, I think I agree. It's not even really other games. I think generally all games have about a 2 to 3 week period to get people to try the game, to stick with the game, and that's it. And in that retention period, actually, there's a lot of factors to think about to retain players. One of them, of course, is netcode, but also we've got characters, and like we were saying, you've got the old school, but you've also got to try and get the new school, and so you've got a whole lot of different characters. It's too early to say what SNK is really aiming for, and it's a real challenge for SNK to try and get both of these schools, because you've got the old school with your free sacred treasures and stuff, but you've got to also try to get the new school with nice ladies. You've got Shunei. I'm not that. I don't know, but that's going to be.
He's the one in the cover, man.
Yeah, right. Whatever, right? I don't know what the fashion is, but we haven't seen what SNK is going to show us. So there could be some new characters, new teams that are going to be like on the anime, I don't know, or the new trend or the new fashion, whatever. Maybe Shunei's not even the new star. Who knows? We've got a whole lot of things, so it's too early to say what this game is going to try and do. But that's their challenge. They have to try and get everyone as much as possible. But as you said, there's really a 3 week period to keep them in. And if it doesn't attract them, that's the same for all the games, fighting games, shooting games, whatever. If they don't enjoy the experience, if they don't find it relevant, if they don't find it interesting, they're gone. They're gone in 3 weeks. That's it. Turn off, play something else, because there's a billion games coming out every time. So that's the challenge. It's not just netcode. There's a whole lot of other things that they're going to have to deal with, and good luck to SNK with that.
Can I make one more quick statement that I think is relevant to this? I don't know about the rest of the world, but for North America, when Sam Show was coming out, it was a big deal and there was a lot of excitement. And it showed when I got online early after the game was released. It was highly populated. But very quickly, that population dwindled. And then post-COVID, it's dwindled even further to right now, by incredible effort from the community, we can do about a 32-person bracket on any given weekend, which is amazing in itself. But I firmly believe, had that game come out with quality netcode, it would be one of the highest played games right now, bar none.
Absolutely right. Now, I have to say, I think SNK has had a lot of confidence in their netcode, but it's been overconfident. I think, I'm sorry to say this, but SNK's dropped the ball with this one. Especially in the COVID period where everyone's at home, need to play games. Okay, the netcode works okay in Japan. Great.
Yes.
But for the rest of the world, we have crap. We have Wi-Fi. We have whatever. It's rubbish. It needs to work everywhere. They need the best netcode. And, King of Fighters 14, we say, it's good. It's good netcode. But Rollback is the best one. That's it. There's no more discussion. That's it. It should have been there. We need good lobbies, good netcode, and everyone would play it.
We'll get into I think we're going to switch soon to just talking about the netcode.
Yeah.
I think, does anybody want to add something to the look of the game, what we got so far? Because we automatically started going into the netcode section, which we're going to go there. So just
okay. I just want to say something about the look of the game. This is something that, well, maybe you might like at this point or not, but I'm thinking that SNK road that they took for KOF 14 is that they started with 3D. We knew that 3D was the only way to keep the IP alive, because they had no other choice. They couldn't sell the product to the top management if they couldn't make money out of it, if it couldn't be sustainable. So 3D was the way. But they started 3D, and we all see that. Like they weren't at the level of the 3D modelization of other companies that we've been into this for a longer time. And don't start me on Arc System. Well, they nailed it for almost the first time. They had a small experience with Battle Fantasia, if I'm not wrong, and then they just nailed it. The thing is that we always forget about something, is that the game came out with 50 characters on release. 50 characters. And they're not characters with one or two moves. They're complete characters. And I think they've just decided to fight on their own battle. They know they can't deliver high quality graphics for single models because they're still learning. They're getting better. We've seen the transition between 14, Samsho, and 15. It's getting better. Obviously, it's not top notch yet, but I think they're just fighting their own battle of bringing quantity. So some of us might rather play a game with 10 characters that looks absolutely wonderful, and some others would rather play a game with 50 or 60 characters that look okay. And I think it's just about the choice. And if you're more into the visuals and don't care about the numbers of characters, there are other games. There's a huge offer in the fighting game industry. So I'm glad that actually some companies going that way, that offering lots of characters, especially for 3 versus 3 game, because we need that. We need diversity. We need a lot of characters. So I'm not, as long as the number of characters is high, my expectation that should be shattered. But my expectation for the visual is not as high as a game releasing with 15 characters, 16 or 20. And that's, for me, that's an important point. We should compare things that are comparable. If there's another game in the industry that's not a AAA game, because let's remember, KOF is not a AAA game. That's a niche genre. It's a niche game in a niche genre, niche series. And so it's not huge budget. And I'm expecting to see some game in the same rank, maybe AA, if you can call it like that, with the same content and then compare qualities of the character renders and things like that. Not saying that it allowed the game to be ugly. That's not the point. I'm just saying that our expectation should be rational with the content, with the quantity of characters they're gonna deliver on release, and that's important. That's what my point with the visual.
Now, a lot has been spoken.
Can I add
Lord
something?
Lord Grimulus, can you go ahead? He didn't say anything about this topic.
Yeah, I've been trying to interject here for a little while now, and I've been letting you guys talk, and it's kind of what the old people do, is let the kids fight it out amongst themselves. But there's a few things that you guys have forgotten to mention. Going on the whole thing about player retention, SNK are in a really, really difficult spot at the moment because they're trying to appeal to new fans, plus they don't want to annoy their old fans, us guys. the guys who have been there since '94 and before, who know all of their lore from '86. You know, so what does the new person coming into the scene have to see? They're looking at a game with probably 60 characters. That's what KOF 14 had. Of those 60 characters, you've got to learn 3 of them. And of those 3 characters, they've got to each learn 57 matchups. That's incredibly daunting. That's incredibly daunting. How do you make that easier? I mean, 14 brought in the auto combo, which was terrible in my opinion. I absolutely hated playing against it because yes, it teaches people placing and probably a bit of fundamentals, but how far can you go by mashing one button? It doesn't teach you much at all. So that's something that I think they absolutely should leave out. But I don't know. I'm not a developer. I can't tell you what they're going to actually need. One thing I will say is that the KOF lobby was absolutely brilliant because it allowed so many things to happen in one place. But I don't know what happened with the Samsung lobbies at all. I just can't comment on that. But another thing you've got to realize as well for new players, they're coming into KOF and they're realizing that nobody plays ranked. Why? Because the KOF community are a strange beast. They like to play the same person over and over again to iron out the mistakes that they've made previously. You know, so it's not uncommon to walk into a room and see one person playing a person 2. For a set of 50 or 60 games, just so the fact that they can learn everything that they can learn with that particular matchup. That's not something you can find in ranked. And I think that's probably why the ranks, maybe in Samsho and certainly in 14, just died pretty much off the bat. That's not where you're going to find SNK players.
Thank you, Little Grimmels. I think we definitely are going towards the Netcode, so I think we should just go into it and
let it happen.
About, the meat of, as I said, of the topic.
Can I just some?
No, you can't. No.
Yes, you can.
Right. I gotta go.
Go ahead briefly, so we can go to the.
I've got to say about Netcode, right? They've just got to sort this out. And good luck to SNK. It's going to be tough. But thanks for inviting me to the chat, guys. I've got to go. My final point is, think about the lobbies. Think about all that crowd interaction, the spectator interaction in King of Fighters 14, and I think it's in Samurai Showdown as well. If you appreciate that, I'd like you to think about what would be the impact if we remove that, because I'm not sure how it works, but if rollback and all of that stuff needs to happen, if you remove all of that connection and the interactivity, is that going to have a negative impact on the spectator experience? I don't know if that's going to help or not, but think about that. And I'll be very interested to watch the rest of this and listen to your answers. I'll see you later, guys. Peace out. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Violent Ken now. Let him talk, please.
Yeah.
All right, Violent Ken, go ahead.
So I just wanted to add about what I said about the looks. I'm not judging SNK. I'm pretty sure they're gonna deliver at the end. I bet this game maybe is at alpha stage. It looks really good, but I'm getting worried because at first they said that the game was coming out on 22, and then they said that it was coming out at the end of the year. So if they are showing trailers like this, it feels like they don't have a lot of time to fix this, because there are so many things that they have to do. So little time, because you might say 6 months, 7 months, 8 months is a lot of time, but for a game it is not. And this kind of game, it is like just 1 month for us. So I just wanted to be clear with that. And I think you didn't mention this, but I like how the system looks, because the KOF14 system I feel like it was broken because some characters could abuse the system and some characters could not. And the system that 13 had, everybody had a chance. So it looks like characters can do EX moves outside max mode. So that is a good thing.
Can I just give one final comment on what Frionel said regarding the 50 characters? Just keep in mind that people, well, even if you play a fighting game, and like even for me, a seasoned player, usually I just pick my 3 characters that I like and I don't care about the rest. So I don't care about the 47 other characters in the game. And I know from, for example, Tekken, where people are complaining like, please stop releasing new characters. Now I have like 50 matchups, like Grimula said. I mean, in KOF, the characters are not as complex, not as different. You have like 5 different Shotos that kind of do the same thing, but a bit differently. But yeah, you know, like it's somebody plays Choi, or all of a sudden a Chang appears, and then you're getting bopped by this kind of low tier character just because he plays so differently, and then you feel like, man, that character should usually suck, but I get stomped. So what do I do? And yeah, in that case, like I feel SNK, if they want to go this, yeah, let's release the game with 100 characters, just make the game free to play, charge for costumes or something like MOBA, because if you can't deliver high quality models in free to play games, people won't really complain about it. Of course, it's a risk to do it that way, but charging full price for a game where you are like, okay, it's not up to par, and you really only care about one character, and then yeah, the game has to look nice. If you can't deliver a nice graphic quality, you have to go down with the price, or like make it free to play and charge some way else. That's just my opinion.
See, honestly, I just don't think that graphics are that important. I think I've had a word with this about with Neo Geo now before. I'm of the era where we had Pong and Pac-Man and Space Invaders, and you played tennis and there were 3 dots on the screen. You know, I don't care how the game looks, as long as it plays well, as long as it feels nice, I'm happy with that. You know, the graphics are like the icing on the cake.
Thank you.
It's not a deal breaker.
So we'll go ahead now that we talked a little bit about 15.
Wise man words. I want to.
Yeah, always the last the last of us talking giving us the wise words. So with that said, let's go ahead and switch to the as you said, let's talk about net. I mean, we already started talking about Netcode already, but let's really talk about Rollback. So we'll start. We go. You know, each one of us will talk about their experience, about the whole thing, what they think about the whole Rollback situation. So I'll start quickly. Now let's get one thing out of the way. Yes, the previous games, SNK games, have not had good netcode. That it's undeniable. We can't argue about that. That's really clear. But the thing is, and I am for Rollback, the thing is, again, with social media, everything is, times 1,000, and one person said one thing, like it's automatically becomes, a hyperbolic thing. So, the netcode, as I said, it's not the best, but for example, I play King of Fighters 14 with Europe, it works. It does, when you play it against the US, for example, from where I am, yes, it doesn't work. Samurai Showdown, on the other hand, I've had some really good sets with people from the US or even from South America, and it's the same netcode. And that's because it's a different game. It does not require that one frame, combos or whatever that you have in King of Fighters. And I think the main problem for me with Samurai Showdown, not only it's not the netcode itself. For me, it's actually the network experience, the online experience, the lobbies, the menus. The whole thing is convoluted, and it's really sad that going from the King of Fighters 14, which had one of the best lobbies to date, and we went to the Samurai Showdown. So I have a problem more with the experience than the netcode. I have some people here in the chat, like for example, Slade. He's in the US. I'm in Morocco. We had so many good sets in Samurai Showdown. Now, with that said, yes, Rollback has proven to be the superior technology in terms of online, and yes, SNK needs to implement it, and luckily they are. Now, a couple weeks ago, as you know, there's the whole SNK Rollback movement, which started with Gatorade from Twitter, right after that roundtable, Japanese publishers roundtable, where a lot of people were expecting that SNK were going to announce Rollback because the Guilty Gear Strive was taking place, the beta was taking place at the time. They didn't, people were mad, and the whole SNK Rollback started. I made a video about it, and I'm just gonna briefly say what I said is that I agree with the movement. SNK rollback, yes, it's good that we're letting SNK know. What I was not fan of is the fact that okay. What I was not a fan of is the fact that some people took it to the extreme. They started really harassing the developers. They started harassing SNK. Also, the way some people were expressing it in a way that they're like threatening, like no, if you're not putting rollback, I'm not buying. It's fine if you're not gonna buy the game if it doesn't have rollback. But the way people were expressing it, yes, I said it was childish, and I said it, and a lot of people thought I was telling them, the whole movement was childish, which was not what I said, and I'm just making that clear again. And that pushed SNK to announce rollback netcode prematurely, right? And they had plans for it. Obviously, there were signs all over the place that they're gonna do rollback. They were forced to actually announce it before they wanted to. So maybe they had plans for some, trailer or whatever. And yes, it's good we know there's rollback, but I just don't agree with this mentality of pushing things and getting them right now. I don't know, maybe because I mean, we're pretty much all the same age, but like our generation, we're more patient because the way we grew up with video games, like we had magazines, you don't see a game in motion until you buy it, right? I mean, you just see pictures and magazines and whatnot. So I think that's my whole thing with the SNK rollback. It's good that it's happening, right? So we know everyone is happy now, and yeah, this is pretty much in a nutshell what I said in the video, and just talking about it now. So yes, it's good, it's happening. Hopefully SNK will use this netcode. Hopefully it's a good rollback netcode, right? I mean, rollback does not mean it's the best. It has to be well implemented. It has to be a good netcode. And hopefully they're gonna do the same for their other fighting games. Samurai Shodown, it's still a new game, right? So I hope they're gonna, after King of Fighters 15, they're gonna think about Samurai Shodown. So those are my 2 cents. I'll let you guys go ahead, and each one of you will tell their view on the whole situation regarding network, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. So,
okay.
If you don't mind, I'm going to jump in first, because I've very limited brain set, and I'm going to forget everything that I'm going to talk about otherwise. So first of all, I'd just like to say that online movements are generally very good. However, the people making the most noise are likely the ones who are not going to play the game at all on release. It's usually the way, because they're going to be like, oh, I like this character, I'll definitely play it when this character is released or when this game's released, but when the game comes out, where are they? All these people that are screaming for netcode, where are they going to be when the game comes out? You'll probably never see their Twitter handles playing against you on PSN or Steam. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
However, what I will say about the KOF 14 netcode experience, it's actually not that bad. I have some very, very good games with people who live in the middle of the United States and northeast of the United States. Like they're sitting in my front room. However, people who live in the same city as me, I sometimes struggle to connect with.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand how that works. It just doesn't make any sense in my mind. Rollback, I was fortunate enough to have played the Strive beta, and I was very, very impressed with how that felt. It was amazing. It was a great experience. And if KOF 14 is anything like that, I'll be happy, simply because it'll be able to make online events a hell of a lot better. Maybe it will help, possibly, maybe it will help with player retention, because people won't get so annoyed. And if the lobby system is anything like 14, I can't see a problem at all.
Am I good to sort of interject here and start my section in 10 minutes and so on? Well, first thing that I wanted to say was I wasn't able to make that point, and it's a very important point. Where we were talking about Samsho, we were talking about player retention, and then I'll get into the netcode. Samsho came out the 25th of June of 2019. In August, 4th of August, if I remember right, there was Evo. We had 1,700 plus players playing Samsho, making it top 3, I believe, in entrance, aside from Smash. That's a huge signal that the people want to play SNK games at the start, right? Even if it's just jumping into the new game. But there were new games there, if that makes sense, right? And those are like, that's 1 month away. That's literally the player retention period almost we were talking about, because the game comes out on the 25th, then you have 1 month, and the 4th of August you have the biggest tournament in the world with such a big turnout, right? So that is a big signal that especially for a reboot, for Samsho, that if you're not an SNK fan, you have no idea what Samsho is. Even SNK fans have to go back to 5 Special for the most sort of like last relevant game. Then, you have 6, you have Sen. Yes, those are games that are nice for what they offer, but on a competitive level, they're not really that relevant. Regardless, let's move on from Samsho. So I'm going to talk about Rollback, but first of all, I want to frame this in the right way. This isn't just about, a bunch of competitive people whining because they cannot land their combos. This is much more that is dependent on the rollback and the net play environment, because I am at the moment, my sort of main involvement with the scene is being a community builder. If you don't know me, I am the admin of the KOF 2002 UM Discord, which at the moment sits slightly short of 3,000 people. That's a big number if we're talking numbers, right? For an SNK game from 2009. Now, we started with, the Discord started just because I was so happy about finding one other player in Europe that played this game when it was delay-based, right? And they was willing to play the game with me. That's how bad it was. I could not find anybody to play 2K2 UM specifically on delay on Steam before the rollback. So we started this and we're like, you know what? Some other people might come. And before the rollback update happened, we were about 400, 500. In a few months, because the rollback came in October and now we're in March. So somebody make the math. We had 2,200 people, so to speak, like more or less join. At the moment, we're sitting almost at 3,000. Most of them, a huge part of them, were not SNK fans. A huge part of them are Smash players that have come in from seeing Terry. And I will give you this direct experience. And this is why rollback has such a huge impact in such a short time. When Nabil was talking about movements unfortunately have this bad potential of having a lot of people that are not involved with the games. Not even talking about, people that will try the game or the people that just ate on SNK. Praying ate. There is a lot of it, and I would recognize it. They would just attach to it because it's relevant, because it's trending, because it's part of the conversation, and they want to be involved, right? There is toxicity, I will admit that. But there is also so much more behind that is fully framed in love. All these people here, and I know them, and I know what they do, pour their heart, guts, and tears into what they do. And it's so much more than just landing combos. In my community, we have channels for lore. We have channels for talking about arts and artworks and cosplays and other things. And it's so much more than just people that can play the game and place high in tournaments, and that's it. It's about bringing people together. Like yesterday, if for the few people that might have followed my event, I had to announce the cancellation of Nested Quarters, which is a 2002 UM tournament that involves North Africa. Now, the problem is that even despite Netcode, we cannot sustain the tournament on a streaming level because the game does not have a spectator mode and lobbies, right? So you have no way for a third person that is not playing to come in and stream the game. It has to go through Discord streaming, or it has to go through Steam broadcast streaming, right? So when you're putting an event, it's not just for people that are playing, it's about for people coming in and talking shit in the chat, it's about for people, coming in and talking about the lore or the new announcement for other games like in KOF 15. All of this is community. It's bringing people together. It's love. Believe it or not, I don't have it under my hands. Somebody got married because of rollback. I have the tweets. They started playing MVCI from Greece to, I believe, China or something like that. And it was only possible because of Rollback. They ended up striking such a big connection that they got married. I don't know if it's 100% true, right? I didn't fact check this thing, but it's about bringing people together. Let's shy away a little bit from the I cannot land my combos with delay, and let's think a little bit more about how many people we can involve in our games. When I direct my community, when I interact with people, one of the things I say that SNK people, some of them don't like it, is the closest game to SNK to KOF neutral. The closest thing that you can explain KOF neutral is Smash. It's Smash, and it's
I don't know if I like that.
Right. See, and he's like 40. He's like the biggest hater of the new era they're gonna find. No jokes, but it's because you have several different jumps, you have several different jump parts, you have tripping, you have anticipating in the air, you have projecting it boxes and hiding art boxes. This doesn't matter, but a lot of people came from Smash and started getting the game, even at the very basic level, because it sort of functions in the same way. If you listen to Sakurai, Sakurai is the game producer, right? I'm not making it up. Yeah. So if you listen to Sakurai, they made Smash specifically because they thought that KOF, they felt bad beating somebody on KOF, and it felt hard. So there's a lot of potential for bringing people together. But these people cannot be together if they cannot play the game, especially now that we're in a pandemic, right? So it is a little bit more than just disgruntled competitive players that just want to, land better their combos and that's it. It's about organizing things for all the community. So when I was streaming yesterday, Nest Headquarters. And the problem is I cannot have that sustainable because some of the North African players don't have the upload to restream these games basically into Discord or into Steam broadcast and play at the same time. They strike their 150, 200 ping, which is not even a problem with Rollback. You can have more than decent plays, but then it's not sustainable because of the quality of the net. Now, apply this to other places in the world where this can happen, and you have a problem. If there was a way for me to go into the game and spectate and then stream that feed, that doesn't impact on their connection, so they can still play. Practically, I cannot involve North Africa into my tournaments. And that simply is not related to Netcode itself, but it's related to the net play environment because there is no spectator mode. And when you talk about involving people, you also have to think about lobbies and lobbies functionality, crossplay, which is a huge thing that we still haven't gone in. I play a game called World War Z that is not a fighting game that has a full crossplay between Epic Games, Xbox, PS4, and Xbox Game Pass. So there's like 4 platforms effectively they can play absolutely no problem with together. We are not there as a fighting game community with the fighting game genre, and it's a huge problem. And when you take things like that, or the release of the same game 1 year later, like PC, especially for, Frionel mentioned, some SNK is more popular in some zones, some countries, some areas. Some of these areas don't really play on console or cannot afford consoles or have problems with consoles and games costing so much because of taxes situation. It's very complicated. The bottom line is that the PC release of Sancho on day 1 with the other platform and a full crossplay would have helped, even though the net play is bad. Then you put rollback into this, and suddenly you have a net play environment and a streaming environment and an event environment, a community build-up that gets momentum. It's exponential. But once all of these things start missing, you are stuck with playing offline with your friends. And we're in a pandemic. Once again, even though that was possible, it's still a problem. So once you talk about all of this stuff, you start to understand it's not just about landing your combos, if that makes sense. So that was kind of like my point, and that was what I wanted to stress. On a personal note, when we talk about learning games and approaching KOF, KOF is art. I'm not gonna hide it. I have written a blog post breaking down exactly why. The problem is that to appeal to new players, what's it called? The developers are dumbing down the wrong things, or they have an aspect that cannot be dumbed down. Whatever you make your combos easier, your execution easier, your understanding the system simple, neutral is not bypassable. Unless you're playing anime games, but we'll talk about it at another time. But neutral is not bypassable, and it's the hardest thing to teach, because it's the deepest that you can take a game into. When you bring together neutral and the sort of mix-up wheel, the mix-up potentials, the depth that you're playing, we call it the lasagna in UK, or at least InfernoCon calls it the lasagna. But yeah, it's, you know, the layers that you're playing keep going. That is when it's hard for somebody to teach and learn, because I am a coach. I've been doing free coaching for years on like 15 different games. I have a lot of experience, and this is not because I want to boast. It's because I tell you, when you try and explain neutral and you get people to think into lateral thinking, that's when it's hard, and that's when a great player can take the most advantage. So I'll give my word to I think the next in the schedule is Grim, so you can make your points about, you know, ALF and what the challenges have been with both Samsho and KOF, and what, you know, a system like Rollback would mean for you, because you don't really have first-hand experience with Rollback. You haven't played the older games as much as I have, right?
No, I tend to stay away from them simply because my brain can literally only process 2 games at any one time. I have limited retention, seriously. I've got so much going on. So to add to that, yes, I am the boss of Elf. We tend to look after 4 titles at the moment, and that's Tekken, which is our biggest game. Soul Calibur, obviously our second largest game. Those 2 are the 2 most popular games here in the UK. And then we've got Samurai Shodown, and then we've got King of Fighters. Basically, that's the SNK. We've got a couple of teams which look after Tekken and Soul Calibur. But as far as SNK is concerned, it's pretty much me from the Elf team that looks after that. However, I am fortunate enough to have a good community in the EU. I work a lot with Gil. I work a lot with the Luxem Bros and a few other people to put on some really, really good events. So one of the problems that we've had, especially over the past year, because we've had to obviously leave the offlines behind and switch everything to online, is the fact that the netcode hasn't been brilliant. Yes, it's been great for, you know, casual games. Maybe we can set up a first to 10 or do an exhibition or a tutorial, that sort of thing. But for the majority of the tournaments that we do, specifically talking about SNK here, I'm not talking about the Namco stuff because that's a completely different subject. They've been difficult. It's been hard, especially for KOF, because we'll have maybe, if we're lucky, 2 people from the UK, and then the majority from Morocco, simply because they just want to play. The Moroccans are like the South Americans of the world over here, over in this sort of part of the hemisphere. They'll enter a lobby and just play in like one frame of one bar of lag just because they want to play the game. And that, if Reno's laughing, I can see him. That's kind of where I sit as well. I'll play the game regardless. So from my point of view, Rollback would give everybody that extra incentive to maybe stick it out a little bit more, because at the moment I'm having to put a disclaimer on my event to say this is an online event. You have to expect some modicum of lag. Sometimes games will be unplayable, and sometimes you will have to decide a game via a virtual coin flip, which is really not the way forward. That's something that you really want to avoid, really. But yeah, so going forwards, I really do hope that they do introduce rollback netcode or something that works just as well. I don't know what other options there might be out there, because it would help us to include the majority of the UK, all of the EU, and possibly, maybe, have North Africa plunder all our riches like they do all the time, with no problems whatsoever.
Thank you, Grimulus. Sinjul, yeah, you wanna go next?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to give a bit of a background on myself as well. I'm gonna go back to when I started playing fighting games in 2006, I grew up in a small city, and there was no fighting game player around. Like the next person playing fighting games was living like 45 minutes and a 20 euro train ride away. So as a school student, it wasn't feasible for me because I didn't have that much money. So pretty much when I started playing, I went to one offline event per year. That's it. That's all the fighting games I played for 4 years. So from 2006 to 2010, I played fighting games 4 days per year in a row, and that's it. So that's how I started playing fighting games. And I mean, and if you look at that situation, I doubt many players would stick around, right? Because well, you like the game, but why would you go into practice mode and actually play the game if, well, you only can play it once a year? And that's then when GGPO came around, and Street Fighter Alpha 2 and KOF 98 later on were possible to be played online. I just played whatever I could get. I just wanted to play, and yeah, that's how I got actually into KOF, just by playing GGPO online. And I think not everyone lives like me right now in Frankfurt, where there are possibly more players around. So online play is just enabling people to actually play fighting games. I think that's the important thing about not just Rollback Netcode, but Netcode in general. But we also have to see it from another perspective. When I couldn't play fighting games, what did I play? I played StarCraft Brood War every day. I played Clan Wars, I played Leagues. I was a competitive player. I was like around the national team level for Germany, which was one of the best countries in the world for that game. And well, I would have rather liked to play fighting games, but sorry, I couldn't. And with fighting games, the state that we are in right now, it's very much the same thing. I think there are a lot of players that would rather play fighting games than something else, maybe MOBA or RTS, but they can't. And I also have the same tournament experience that Gil had. We are running a Challenger League with KOF 98 UMFE. We ran it last season with live matches. We had some players that could stream through Discord or where Steam broadcast worked. My best experience so far was asking the players to please stream on Twitch, and I'm just gonna capture the browser. That's pretty much, I mean, if your best possibility to stream something is a restream, and you really have to ask the players like, oh, please stream it so I can actually show it on our stream. It's a pretty bad situation. And also actually contacted by SNK, and they said, hey, your stream quality is kind of bad. You need to do something. And then I was like, okay, we have no spectator mode. What can we do? And then
need to do something.
Then I was like, okay, how about Parsec? I know people like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 players, they use Parsec. Okay, let's give it a try. Until I wrote an email to SNK, I was like, hey, Parsec, is that actually possible? And they were like, no, it's not a supported platform. If you use Parsec, then we drop the support. So like season 1 was supported by SNK, season 2 is supported by SNK, and they were like, well, Steam is okay because the game is released on Steam, but Parsec is a kind of third-party platform, and we don't support it. So Parsec kind of died at that moment, and yeah. So what do? Season 2 is not played live for neither KOF 98 nor 2002 UM. We ask the players to record their matches, play in advance, and then we commentate the movie, like the video files, because that's how we can provide a good stream quality where you don't have frame drops every 2 frames. Sometimes you don't even see the combo. You just hear the sound with the Discord streaming. So now we have nice picture quality, we have nice audio quality, but of course it's not live and it's not as hype. If it's not live, I know it, but we really want to support KOF. We had 2002 had the most players by a big margin. Pretty much they had as much players as all the other 3 games together. And just going to this rollback netcode topic again, we also offer Guilty Gear Xrd and Undernight in Challenger League. And we actually had the 3rd and 4th place of Undernight drop out after season 1 because they said, hey, you know, netplay is kind of shit. I don't want to keep playing like this. And so like you have the best players in Europe, and they're like, netplay sucks. I'm not going to play this game. There's no offline. There's no reason for me to play this game anymore. Usually I just play online to prepare for offline, but now it's Corona time, no offline. I have no reason to play this. Yeah, I'm just gonna play back to Final Fantasy 14 or something. So
the retirement home of the FGC.
Yeah, and so that's for me as a tournament organizer. You know, you read articles about like marketing or maybe books, like how can you grow something. I mean, it's all about getting people to know about tournaments, and then you have the best players just drop out because I can't play the game online. Then how are you going to push this game to players that are not that invested, that have not played 400 hours yet? And we have to kind of realize, or I hope the Japanese fighting game developers realize they are not just competing between each other, but like for me, they compete with every game developer, because I'm a very competitive player. I like to play multiplayer. And if I can't play fighting games, then I just go to a different genre. Then I play strategy games again, and that's it. All of a sudden, yeah, gone. I've been playing fighting games for 14 years, but I still, sometimes I still think like, it's not fun. Some games are just not fun to play online. And yeah, for example, for 98 UMFE, it's a coin toss. Do you play vanilla with proper netcode on GGPO? Or do you play your favorite version with worse netcode where you probably don't find as many players? So yeah, that's just my point of view on the topic. And I hope the rollback is good. I have high hopes for 15. Please give us lobbies. Rollback netcode is there. I want to spectate, so we don't have the same problem as Gil mentioned, that people have to stream. And then I think we can push KRF 15. It's going to have much more players, and then it's actually a sustainable tournament game.
Thank you so much, Sinjul.
Oh, sorry, 1 sec. I wanted to say, if you wanted to run 98 vanilla, going back to the platform supported, there is no release that is feasible for a tournament. It's only Fightcade, and understandably, SNK doesn't want to support Fightcade because it's not legal emulation. And you're at a certain point where you're like, it's your game. Give me a way to play it, to stream it, and to, you know, make an event out of it. So yeah, sorry, Nabil. I just wanted to remind people that we don't have this.
Fiona, do you want to go next?
Sorry, can I just make a quick point here?
Yep.
I'm sorry to jump in out of turn here, but Gil just made a really, really good point, which I'd like to capitalize on. But, as a TO, an SNK TO, sometimes you're reminded of how bad the tools that SNK give you to use to actually create an event. So offline is fine if you've got a community to play offline, but the lobbies, the netcode, there are so many things which are really, really, really bad. And as a TO, you have to just sit there with your head in your hands and think, I want to make your game look good, but I can't make your game look good if the lobbies are crashing. I can't make your game look good if I can't get person A to connect to person B on stream. People are you're bleeding viewers because they're like, well, this is just crap. You know, why should I sit around and watch this? But you know, SNK, please give us a bony.
Yeah. Sometimes we run like 1 to 2 hours late just because of the lobbies crashing.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not like I am, you know, we're all small events, so we commentate for free. We do it for passion, and you're expecting like 3 hours of tournament, and it becomes 5 because people can't connect to each other, can't find each other, cannot see each other. So yeah, just go on, Friona. Sorry, it's just like exasperation at this point.
Well, if it's my turn, well, maybe because of my particular background, you might hear a different sound. Music will go into a different genre and that's why this roundtable is very interesting, because I love to see how diverse our expectations, our experience are because of our different backgrounds. And I'm gonna just shout out to Sinjul just about something about Germany, because at the late 90s, I have one of my best friends that had to move from Morocco to Germany because his parents had to move there. And I remember something that shocked me at that time is he called me, he said, "Guy, I'm in trouble. Nobody in the whole high school knows how to do a Hadoken motion. They don't know what it is." I was like, "Oh my God, is this hell or something?" He said, "The whole school, nobody knows." And my friend was a very, very good rival school player. We've been playing a lot, so he was looking for competition over there, but he couldn't find a single one doing a quarter circle movement because that wasn't a part of culture. And I wanted to highlight this point just to explain, because so you can understand what I'm going to talk about, is that regarding your country, your culture, the way you interact with the fighting games and with SNK games in particular, your expectation, your way of seeing things can change a lot. And that's what I'm going to try to explain in this little part I have. So first of all, let's elude something that maybe is, flying above my head or something. I 100% support better online experience. Whatever it is, the netcode technology, whatever it is, lobbies, everything, what is crossplay, anything that make the game playable online is good. Whatever you call it, we have a good technology that works. Use the technology. We need a spectator mode to stream tournaments. Put spectator mode. Come on. We need to make easy matchmaking. Do it. We need a ranked mode where you can find random opponent that has a good connection to interact with. You have to put it on the game. Everything that can make game online better is a good thing. It's just a matter of, it's not about the pandemic situation. It's just about you put that mode in the game. It's on the box. It's called online multiplayer. So you have to deliver the best experience for that. You're not allowed to say, well, it's fighting games, so no. If fighting game cannot be played online, don't put online mode. Don't drive people in the wrong way and make them think that they could do it where it's not possible. And that's a very, very important point. And I think the reason why we had that bad experience with online games is, for one reason, lack of knowledge from the Japanese developer. That's the reality. They were behind their time where technology evolved outside of the world. But I'm going to explain why. It's because of the need. They didn't feel the need because they made games that work in their environment. As long as it worked in their environment, that's the main market they aimed for. Not all fighting game company were like worldwide. They had a worldwide vision. They make game for Japan, and then they think about a publisher and a way to sell a little more games outside, because they know that their games are not made for international audience. Only the big names like Street Fighter or Tekken from Japan, they started thinking about the international exposure of the game earlier. So this is important. So they try to make something that works in an environment that's good, and then it sells abroad. We have to find a publisher. Let's sell the game. Well, it has netcode. It works for us, so it might be good. And that let them be very, very late to realize that actually their games do appeal a worldwide audience. That's a fact. We are all here. Nobody is from Japan. I'm guessing in this round table, and I'm sure that most of people following this stream are not from Japan. So the game do appeal in international audience, and the market shift. The market is no more in Japan alone. If you want to make your game sustainable, if you want to spend money putting quality on the game, you need to expect sales, and you cannot view sales only on your domestic market. That doesn't work anymore. So they had to move that. And what I want to say is that I'm not finding excuses for what we've been through. It's just that it's a consequence of a reality. That's not, nobody want to release a game with a bad experience. I don't see people spending hours working on a game, and you know how the working condition can be in this industry. And for the end, they say, okay, it's bad experience, just release it. That's not the point. It's just that the context didn't let them, be on page of technology. And then people outside of game development, outside of fighting game makers company, they found out a solution. It was called Rollback, and they started doing it in a piracy platform, because they've been using game that you're not supposed to run on a PC to begin with. But that was the experiment platform they had, and it worked, and people started playing that way, not because they didn't want to buy the game, but just because this was the only way to play those games online. And as we said with Sinjul and other players, nobody had an offline scene. Nobody is in a culture, in a country where the culture is about playing games. I've been lucky enough to not live that, because I'm from Morocco. You can find an arcade in every street corner, and even if you didn't play arcade, it's a part of the culture. I moved in France and I lived in Paris. I had fighting game players all around the place. I didn't know what game to play. I could play with anyone. We had offline sessions everywhere. We had arcades. We had tournaments way before the online was a thing, actually. So I never was in that situation where I needed online to actually play games until maybe the pandemic, to be honest, because I was lucky to be like that. And I'm pretty sure the Japanese players, they felt the same, because they always had options to play. But it's not because you're living in a situation that your situation is the worst situation, especially where we're in a global experience now. Everybody has the right to play the games. They cannot play offline. Thank God, online is a thing now. Make it better. And just to keep on that point, what I want to say is that once the rollback became a thing, I'm sorry, but maybe it's just a question of perspective, or maybe I'm a very, very big fanboy. But I remember SNK being one of the first Japanese developer, small Japanese developer, excuse me the word, but it's important, to actually adopt rollback. They were like, oh, rollback works. Okay, it works. Okay, so if you go through emulators, save states, you can do something. What are emulated games available on the market? Let's put rollback on that. And they did it. And that's the reality. We cannot deny that. The offer is not huge. We're still waiting for other games, but at least all the fighting game they released that used emulation got rollback netcode on them. I'm not talking about the ACA archives thing, because they're not SNK, direct project. They're another company doing that. It's different. But all SNK published games that could hold rollback were in. KO 14 development started, and release was ahead of that take of like consciousness awake, or I don't know how you call that. They weren't on that point. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure, convinced, and the history is giving me right. When they started Samurai Showdown, I don't think they were aware of how important rollback could help the situation of the online. So when the game arrived, when it started, it was too late, I think, to get it done. And then they decided to go to the other level. They say, okay, so emulation, but what about our very strong competitive game that deserves a second life? And I'm thinking about KOF 2002 UM, because it's called Unlimited Match for a reason. It's for most of us one of the best KOF out there, because it's the synthesis of the whole 2D Neo Geo gameplay into one game. And the game is amazingly good. You have to try it, but this isn't a different point. They started to do it. And they asked Code Mystics, who worked on the emulated game, to find a solution. And they find it, and they release it like that. So maybe when the rollback SNK thing started, I looked like, guys, I don't know why you're worried about, like, all the signs, like Nabil said, all the signs were showing that SNK is aware about the thing. They're updating games for free and adding rollback in it. It means that they know what, they're aware that this may be the solution, and they're aware of their global international audience. And then they didn't talk about rollback, or didn't talk about netcode experience at all on the roundtable, and it started the hashtag. The hashtag and the movement wasn't bad in a way, because, okay, community say to SNK, we want rollback. Well, they know about it, but it costs nothing to just say it again. But as Nabil said, and unfortunately, this kind of movement, they cannot always go good and supported by good people. There's a lot of toxicity, because a lot of people exist through social media by just writing things. It's easier to write things to actually do things. It's easier to write things to actually hold tournament for a community. It's easier to write things to actually work on a game and be a top player and win tournaments. It's easier to exist through this. And toxicity attracts people easier than actually good or good action, because a good action are most of the time quiet. They're strong but quiet. You don't bark about doing good things, but people like just talking over bad things. And that's the problem with that, is that it's something that could be only positive turned down to a very, very mixed thing. That I feel Nabil about that. Like, I didn't feel good about harassing SNK on that, because I've read some people saying, no, it's a company, you must defend your rights, and don't be a dog of this, of capitalism, or I don't know. I've read a lot of things on that. But come on, there are people behind that. People working on the game. They're humans. They read what you're talking about. And I swear, I've seen things, not of course from supportive people like us, but I've seen things that I could be discussed about my job by just reading things like that. And this toxicity, this canceling, how do you call it, the cancel culture, or I don't know, is dangerous. Is very, very dangerous. It's something I didn't feel comfortable, because I'm like Nabil. I'm an old guy. I'm just waiting for things to happen. I have truth and have trust. I mean, and if it's not good, I just don't play and move on. We had KOF 12. We wait for the game. Arcade experience, not good. Console game, let's go training mode. Maybe game is deeper than what expected. 20 minutes later, drop. I respect people saying that KOF 12 online experience was bad, because they had faith to go to online mode. I didn't go to that point because the game was bad. Even if it's SNK, even if it's KOF, if the game, the product is not good, you just don't play it, or just don't buy it to begin with. But you don't need to tread and go to this negativity for something you want, and maybe you want, but you never use in the end. Like Grim said, most of those people, they will not play the game to end with, you know? They will never show up on tournament, they will not play the game, they will not maybe buy it. They just want to be a part of the toxicity, because that's how internet, that's how humanity is. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And then, thank God, SNK reacted, and they say, okay, guys, we love your passion about the topic, but be reassured, we are working on that. We're looking for a solution to make it work. And I think that, unfortunately, the movement was a good thing, showing that community care about the quality of their games online and everything that could be related to the game quality. But in the end, I feel like it's ruined some reveal that could happen in, maybe a trailer, maybe something positive, because we've been all expecting that. And I'm worried about the way it turned. This era we live in, of course, it's good to have your voice heard. That's good. That's something we are lucky to have. But I'm just worried about the power social media can have regarding this kind of project. So of course, I'm glad the game has rollback. I'm excited. I'm 100% supportive of better online quality, better games. Actually, whatever it is, I'm happy for better graphics. I'm happy for better gameplay. I'm better for a better online. I will never complain about that. But just I'm worried about this era where we are, where it can start from nothing. we are here to play games to begin with, and we love playing games. We're passionate about those games, and maybe I'm just too naive, or maybe I don't know, but I don't like seeing bad things out of things I love. I just want to have faith, and if I don't like it, I'm just not buying it, moving forward, because there are other games, there are other things to do, and that was my point on that topic.
Okay, thanks, Fiona. We should go. I think we should go like all of everyone says their point. Then we'll do the discussion. Sugar Bear, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. As I said, I'm from North America, the States to be specific, and I'm here mainly for Samurai Showdown 7. But as a fan of Samurai Showdown 7, obviously everything that concerns KOF, SNK's flagship franchise, definitely concerns me as well. But I just sort of want to talk about the history of Sam Show 7 NA, where we are right now, and what the future holds. As we mentioned earlier, I think Gil mentioned it specifically, when Sam Show 7 came out, EVO was less than like a month after that, and we had over 1,000 entrants. That's a pretty amazing thing. I reiterate my original opinion. I definitely feel that if this game came out with Rollback from the get-go, it would be one of the most popular fighting games out right now. But unfortunately, since the release, the numbers slowly dwindled. I would say leading all the way up to right before Corona, early February, we had a tournament in New York, Next Level Battle Circuit. It was called, I think it was Lunar Bout, if I'm not mistaken. And that was sort of the first big major, it felt like, it was solely SNK focused. And for Samurai Showdown 7, a lot of us were meeting each other for the first time, and it was a fantastic event. And I felt that at that time, we had really whittled down to a small core by then. A lot of people had left, but there was a strong core group that I felt that would continue to support the game going forward. We had offline, we had locals. For most of us, that was enough to say, hey, we love this game so much that 1 or 2 days a week, and if we're willing to brave the online frontier, those things together enough will be enough to sustain us. And then COVID hit, and then we were forced entirely online, and then we just continue to dwindle further. The issues with lobbies and the netcode itself. People on this board obviously have run Sam Show 7 tournaments. The lobby system has made it unbearable. I mean, not only do we have to worry about whether you're going to get a good connection, is the lobby even going to be able to sustain 4 people being in there at once? Frankly, and the fact that there's been no attempt to improve it, I personally feel like it's kind of embarrassing. When you're streaming that and you have to apologize to your viewers regarding this lobby continuously crashing, it's embarrassing for us. And we love SNK, we love this game, and we feel embarrassed for them as well, because we want them to say something and to do something, and they haven't up to this point. So we're in COVID, we're trying to run tournaments, it's unbearable. People are evacuating quickly, and I cannot blame them. So we started looking for other alternatives, and one of them was Parsec. And out in Southern California, Andy and Angela, who are a pair who are really beacons of the Sam Show 7 community in North America, they sort of got the ball rolling on Parsec. They tested it out, and I'll tell you, connection quality is greatly improved. And now that we've really mastered the program, not only is the connection quality improved, but connecting is a breeze. I provide Parsec to tournaments now. And as I said, we run 32-man brackets with relative ease on Parsec, considerably less trouble than you would have on PS4. And it's sad and it's a bummer, but that's just the case. And it was really important to us to be able to provide the strongest experience possible in this time where we don't know when offline is coming back. We love the game, we want to play it, and damn it, we're going to do everything we can to make it happen. So that was effective. However, Parsec isn't perfect either. Parsec requires a host to be present. 2 people can't just boot up their PC, hop on Parsec and play. They need a host to be able to do it. So it's actually quite complicated to get it going. On top of that, it costs money. to host a Parsec server. We pay on average, $50 to $150 a month just so people can play Sam Show 7 at a decent quality. I would gladly, take all the money I've spent on Parsec and hand it directly to SNK in the form of a color pack or something like that. But we've heard no such mention regarding any further content. So it's worked, but it's not ideal. And now within I'd say the past 6 months, via Sam Show 5 Special, Plus R, O2UM, Fightcade in general, people have really started to develop a taste for rollback. And can you blame them? I'd like to assume that we all have played rollback at this point, and call me a liar if it isn't incredibly improved. So I guess at this point, with Strive around the corner, and one thing we don't mention, Epic, not Epic, excuse me, is it Riot? The Riot fighting game is somewhere down the road, and you best believe that's going to have some kick-ass netcode coming with it. So I will always be here. I made a commitment to Samurai Showdown 7 and NA that as long as they continue to show up, I will continue to provide a quality connection for them to play on. That is my commitment to the scene. But I also see the writing on the wall. No one is going to deal with the shortcomings of Parsec, needing to track someone down to host. They just want to be able to boot up their damn console and play. Okay? So I don't know how long it will last. And that's just the fact of the matter. If you give someone the option, they're going to take rollback over a game with crummy internet to begin with. So that's sort of where we're at right now. And, it took a lot of care and effort and time to bring, NA Sam Show 7 along. And I'm so proud of our community, and we're a little family, and I love them so much. What we want, though, is going forward, we would like SNK to show the same time and care and passion for their online infrastructure. That's what we want. And that's not just rollback. That's lobbies, spectator modes, replay features, crossplay. That's what we want to see. And it's not just what we want to see, it's what it needs. I'm telling you, if you care about SNK and you care about SNK games, they need to know that there's something coming behind them, and it's called Strive, and it's called the Riot fighting game. And those things are going to run them over if they're not prepared with quality online infrastructure. At least that is the feeling in North America. I cannot speak for the rest of the world, and I hope Violent Kane will speak specifically on Mexico regarding that topic. But I wanted to mention one more thing, and I think this sort of hints at that, what I just mentioned. I feel that people saw the hashtag SNK rollback movement, whatever you want to call it, as an opportunity to dogpile or attack SNK. These are people that hate SNK. They just want to see them fail. I'd argue the opposite. As I mentioned, we were trying to warn them, and the writing is on the wall, and not like warn in a threat, like you better do this or you're going to pay for it. No, it was more like look out behind you because the current temperature in the room is no rollback, no buy. And if you don't do it, your competition will, and you need to be prepared. And we say it because we love them, not because we hate them. We want them to succeed. Then that's it.
Excuse me, just on point, because Samurai Showdown is on the topic. I just want to give some words to Sugar Bear and first thank him for what he's doing for the community, for the game. That's amazing. That's a commitment that only a few people can do, like override the game issues to just offer something better. And I've tried Parsec on 13, and it's great. It's like it's kind of like magic for me. But what I want to say is just my own feeling, of course. I'm just saying things how I'm seeing that, but I'm seeing all the love SNK is putting in Sam Show. Like, I mean, they're adding a third season. They're doing collabs with other companies. They've just announced Guilty Gear character on Sam Show, which is like huge. And my feeling and my faith, and maybe I'm just a dreamer, but I have the confidence that if SNK has a way to make the online experience better, and they find a way to do it, they will do it for this game. I'm pretty sure. It's hard to have faith on a blind, thing, and other games are coming, and it's difficult to support the game till the end. But this is how I feel. Like KOF 2002 is a game I love. Like from the bottom of my heart. And we had to wait a long time to have an online experience for this game. And I have the feeling that if they made it for this game, that was released a long time ago. And when I see all the love put in Samsho, I'm sure they're gonna find a solution. It's impossible. I can't believe the game is gonna stay at that state. That's how I feel, and I hope we will all still want to play that game once this can happen. But this was my feeling regarding this game.
Oh, believe me, I want to play that
Thank
game.
you.
Violence Gain.
Do you mind if I reply to what he said, because I feel like there's more to say there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate that, and I mentioned earlier, like I'm a Sam Show guy, but it makes me an SNK guy, which makes me a KOF guy, because KOF is SNK's flagship franchise, and the success of KOF is everything to SNK, but it's also everything to Sam Show. If KOF 15 is not successful, there is no future for Sam Show, as far as I'm concerned. So you damn well better believe I care about KOF 15. So, from where I'm standing right now, I don't expect them to do anything about it right now. The word of the day is KOF 15, and it has to be, and I understand that. You know what I mean? We're going to keep doing what we can for as long as people are willing to show up. We need to step aside and let KOF succeed, because for anything else SNK related to matter, KOF 15 has to succeed. But, a general sentiment around our community, just for clarity's sake, regarding season 3 and characters, that's all gravy. I love Cham Cham. I'm going to miss Paku, but like Cham Cham, she's cool. I can't wait to see her. But, season 4, screw it. Season 5, season 6, bundle them all together, charge what you want to charge, and make it Rollback. We've had enough of characters.
Mm-hmm.
The game isn't playable,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I'm concerned. So I appreciate the feedback, and we love the game, and we want to see SNK succeed, and that's why we said what we said on Twitter, and that's why we did that movement. It wasn't because we want to hurt them. It was because we want them to succeed and to warn them. As I said, these guys are coming for them, and they need to be prepared.
Thank you, Sugar Bear.
Actually, I want to add something about Sugar said. I made a tweet about actually the season 3 state, and it is cool to get new characters. Cham Cham, it is really a character a lot of people wanted, but I get the feeling that if you cannot play the game, what can you do with new characters? That's why I tweeted the thing that if the netcode doesn't get better, at least in input delay based, maybe I won't buy it because I cannot play the game. So that's what I wanted to add. So I just wanted to introduce my experience with netcode overall. I just started, before I became a competitive player, I was like a netcode online player. I used to play KOF 2003 a lot because in Xbox it had Rollback, and the connections on that time were really bad. I had DSL, so having Rollback at that time was really good. Then I became a competitive player on KOF 13, and I stopped playing online because, let's be honest, you try to do a combo online, it works, and then you wanted to do it offline on a tournament, and you messed up your timings. So that's why I stopped playing online. Then the corona attacked us, and we had no choice but to get used to it. And I met these guys at the Samsho community, and the KOF 14 community grew bigger because of that. And I think it became really important, the rollback. I hope they deliver, and I wanna, the the lobbies are really bad in Samsho. We have a really good lobby system in KO14. I honestly ask myself, why didn't they copy the system in Samsho? The or even the netcode, because Samsho it is a slower paced game than KOF14. So I think it would translate really good in Samsho. So I don't know why they do that. About crossplay, I don't think it is viable now, because I remember playing some games on Steam on 13, 14, and let's be honest, some people play online without having the minimum specs to play the game. So that fucks the netcode. So you cannot play with people like that. So crossplay, it is impossible right now, and at least on PC. And I just want to get focused on rollback, and the movement you guys are talking about. I feel like, yeah, some people got toxic. They started talking shit. Maybe, as you say, Fernel, that they were harassing or threatening the SNK, but I feel that was just the only way for SNK acknowledge that this was a thing. So it kind of feels like they were just gonna add rollback to the older games, but I get the feeling that they are just test for the new games. Rollback doesn't need to have emulation to work. So I really have the hope they add rollback, because if they do not, the game is gonna be dead, really dead. And I know a lot of you, you're not gonna be like, you're not gonna agree with me, but it's gonna die really fast just because you cannot have casuals. Period. So it is a must, and the statement that SNK gave, I really didn't like it. For me, it was like they should have just better didn't say anything, because saying like, yeah, we know that, and we thought about it early in the development, but we're not promising anything. It is just like, okay, so you're saying nothing, man. What are we gonna do? The thing is that if KOF wants to succeed, is a must. Not even like having it like a DLC, or maybe it's gonna come up 5 years later. A lot of people who play KOF 14 know that a lot of people were like excited when the game came out, and they saw what SNK delivered and never played the game again. Even if the game is good right now, they never gonna play it again. They're gonna just talk shit about it. They're gonna say what they remember when they tried the game. So that is not acceptable. And that's it.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Von Kane. And I think a lot of people are, we're pretty much on the same page here when it comes to rollback netcode, right? I mean, it's and I think it's not just the rollback netcode as many have said. It's the entire experience that is also important, right? So not just rollback in itself. So I really do hope that the game is gonna have not only, we already know that King of Fighters 15 is gonna have rollback, but we really needed to have a good lobby system, as you said, a spectator mode, crossplay. I would love crossplay. I mean, some games have done it in a good way, but Mortal Kombat 11, for example, has crossplay, but they decided to not have the PC part of the crossplay. It's only between the two consoles. So yeah, I would love to have that happen. And for Samurai Showdown, I do agree that it needs rollback. And I also have a feeling, because this is the first time SNK seems like this is the first time they're working on a proper rollback for a new game, not an emulated game. So I think it's pretty obvious that if this works, they will update Samurai Showdown. But yes, I do agree with Sugar Bear. It might be a bit too late, but hopefully it's not too late, because the game is great. I love Samurai Showdown. I've been a fan of Samurai Showdown since the first game. I love that series so much, and I really hope that if we do get rollback in that game, it's a lot sooner, because the game is dying, unfortunately. So those are, again, that's what I think about what you guys have thought, and I think it seems all of us are on the same page here. So anyone want to add something to?
I would like.
Yeah, just sorry, because I have to leave. I
Yeah.
won't stay for the Q&A session. So I just wanted to thank everyone. Thank you guys, Nabil, Jill, for guiding us. Thank you everyone for sharing your own experience, and it was a pleasure to see you. I'm used to see most of you on events, actually, by traveling all around the world and playing together. Unfortunately, we can't do that, but it's always a pleasure to talk about our passion, and I see that we're all passionate, and that's great. I want that energy to stay, and I'm wishing for the world to come back to something close to what we know, so we can play again. I just wanted to say one thing, and that could be my closing point, is that I hope that for the genre, for fighting game, the netcode thing is gonna be solved very soon, because we mustn't forget something. The game has to be good before the netcode, and we are unfortunately in a situation where the poor guys, where the poor genre, where we're just wishing for good netcode just to be able to play, and we forgot about the game itself. So I'm pretty looking forward. Like, I'm really looking forward for the moment where the netcode solved. Maybe rollback is the ultimate solution. Maybe something better will come later. I don't know, but I hope we will forget about this, because it's just like we're complaining about our controllers doesn't work on the game. It's the same state. If you take, like, we have games, but the controller that is given with the console doesn't work. It's the same state. So I'm wishing that this gonna be solved very soon, and we see that the movement of all game devs is going toward that way, and I can't wait to come back, talk about the games themselves, because this is what made us all around that table, and this is what will make us keep playing. Thank you, everyone, and
thank you, Fiona. Thanks a lot.
Sorry for leaving soon,
Thank you,
but
Fiona.
I had to go. Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care.
Bye-bye. I was about to say, Nabil, because you said if anybody wants to ask something, I wanted to clarify one thing. It's a bit of a response to Frionel, but it's also a response to your points as well. So I think with SNK rollback movement, of course, there's levels to it, meaning there's the people that just come in with bad intentions. They just want to scream into the void, scream their hate, and cause trouble. We're aware of that. And unfortunately, when you start something on social media, you don't have that control to sort of, get them out of the conversation. And that's bad. And I wish there would be better ways to have a concentrated effort. But at the same time, this concentrated effort is also what is important, because when KOF 12, as it's been mentioned, KOF 13 came out, even though the rollback discourse was nowhere near as strong as that, Killer Instinct was coming out at that time, and Killer Instinct did have rollback. It was just not, we have a huge problem in fighting games community, and it's called Street Fighter. If it's not Street Fighter, it's not part of the conversation. So Killer Instinct has done such an amazing job with rollback, and at that point they could do matches between Canada and Ireland, no problem. And this was like 2012, 2010. I don't remember when the game has came out, right? So I am. Like, if we had that movement before 12 would have coming out, if we were in that reality, imagine 13 would roll back from the start. Imagine that boom, that excitement, that astonishment that everyone would have felt. So I am understanding that, the levels that are skewed, and you can have people go into this absolutely with negative feeling. But I also understand that there's, once again, levels, and is the way you address things also is about holding SNK accountable. And I know this sounds, sorry, my English at this time, it sounds confrontational, but with levels, with love, it has to be. Because if it's not confrontational, if the people will keep on buying the game because, you know, they either don't care or they're fine with the delay or they just play offline, it's great. I understand their need and I understand their passion for something different that is not online play. Everyone is allowed to enjoy games differently. But if you don't have a concentrated effort, you are not sending the message. And if you're not sending the message, like 2019 wasn't that long ago for Samsho to would have like to ship in with rollback already. So if we would have had this movement 10 years ago, we wouldn't be having this discussion. There wouldn't be no roundtable.
Well, if
So,
there's
yeah,
one thing
just
I agree with you mostly, but I don't agree with you. One thing is that the movement for the King of Fighters 15, while it is important, if we had it before, I agree, it would have made, you know, bigger, you know, it will have left a bigger mark. But in this case, this movement, what it did right now, as far as we know, is that it pushed SNK to say that they have rollback. It didn't change their stance because they were already working on rollback. We shouldn't forget that. But I agree, if we had this way before, they would have known. And it's unfortunate, but, you know, Japanese developers, as we've said, they were focused mainly on Japanese players, right? So if we had this movement before, I agree, it would have done that. And again, I like that everyone got mostly on the same page and pushed, you know, this showed SNK we want rollback, but it wasn't what made, you know, it basically pushed SNK to say that we have it, not that they started working on it because of the movement.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
that's important, you know.
It is.
As far as I'm concerned, them mentioning was very important. You know, I speak for North America, and there's a lot of long-time KOF and SNK fans who have had the same mentality that you did, or felt the same way you did. Have faith, give it time. It's early. They had that mentality for years and years and years, and they were waiting for you know, years. They felt like SNK is going to get it together, and we're talking previous games, long time now. SNK is going to get it together, and it never happened. And it's gotten to the point where they're like, hey, I can't just go on blind faith anymore. They've been going on blind faith for a long damn time now, and they needed to hear something. And I feel like we should respect that.
Yeah, I agree.
And also, I want to add something that you guys have been saying. Yeah, SNK, their target was Japan before, but I get the feeling when they started, like, trying to put the game at tournaments like Evo or international tournaments. In Mexico, we had Game Celebration. In Costa Rica, it was Furiatica, and so on. I get the feeling that they wanted to be a worldwide publisher. So their target it is not Japan anymore. It is the world, and they have to deliver. And actually, what Sugar said is the feeling we have, most of us. Like, we've been waiting like forever for an answer from SNK, and they just say nothing.
I think I agree. I definitely agree that people kind of like have had it. They wanted to hear something. It wasn't what, you know, SNK looked at it in a different way. I think they said they wanted to have probably a big reveal about rollback. I mean, if they didn't say anything about it but again, it's understandable. People really wanted to see something official, and especially the bad coincidence, I would say, for SNK is that this fell at the same time as Strive Beta, which was, you know, it just showed the world that rollback works. So I think that's what made it, you know, did definitely raise the tensions there when it comes to the SNK rollback. So anyone want to add something from about the topic?
I guess I'd like to reiterate the fact that we're all on the same page here. Everyone, whether you aren't interested in competition or whether you're interested in competition, we all want SNK to succeed. But I feel that those on the competitive side of things, and at least what I've been hearing in North America, is that to be able to succeed now, rollback is a must. And we told them, not because we wanted to jump on them, but to warn them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think is a lot of people are starting to get quote unquote political on this, and I understand it, because they want this rollback to be the standard for the FGC regardless of the game, because they want good conditions to play in. And I am one of those people, and I know a lot of people that will buy and try games regardless. Personally, I am not a fan of Guilty Gear in the way that it plays. I think it's an incredible game, and it appeals to certain people and certain ways to do fighting games, and I respect that. It's not a game for me. I am buying that game day one because it has rollback. I will play that game like maybe 1 month, and I'm aware of that, and then put it away. It has rollback. It does not matter how it plays, because we're setting a standard. I know that the quality of the game and the type of the game, the appeal, what they try to do, their artist direction, everything matters, and I respect that. But it's about changing the standard for net play. Then in 10 years, when we all have rollback, I will not buy games that I don't care about on a gameplay level, right? We're not there. I've always done this in a general level. I buy a lot of fighting games that I don't play because I want to support the genre in general. It's a niche genre. But right now, rollback is, for me, the first selling point, personally.
I just want to add to that point. I think the market has been changing in recent years a lot. I mean, if you follow even news in Japan, arcades are, well, going down the drain. Right now, arcades are dying outside of the big cities like Osaka or Tokyo. I think last year the only arcade in Naha, which is the capital of Okinawa, closed. So right now the thing, even in Japan, is arcades are being replaced by internet cafes or esport bars. So SNK needs to adjust to this new market. Even for us that mainly play on computer or on consoles. I mean, consoles are before COVID, they were the offline tournament standard. But now I did a voting, for example, for Guilty Gear Strive, what platform people will play. And 70% said, yeah, I'm going to buy the game on PC.
Interesting.
And all of a sudden, the market for the Japanese developers has completely changed. PC is not a platform in Japan, but outside of Japan. So I guess North America will probably be the same. Is that all of a sudden Europe and North America, who are, I would say, PC countries, go back to PC because everyone has a computer. So now SNK has to adjust, and they really, I think everyone is in goodwill. We all just want the Japanese developers to understand how they can succeed. So it's not in bad faith or anything. I think the SNK rollback hashtag also is just, you need to be aware of the market. If you don't pay attention to the market, like Sugar said, you might drown. Then all of a sudden, there are no, like SNK might die out. I think Capcom, Bandai Namco, and Axis will probably survive just because, like you said, Street Fighter, Tekken are just the well-known series, so people just buy that. But SNK, yeah, I'm not sure.
Thank you. I think I mean we've expected this to be about 2 hours. We're like 30 minutes past that. Is there anything that you guys want to add?
Personally, no. I think everything has been said. But if anybody has anything else, yeah.
I just wanted to just add something. We must acknowledge that all the people that's in this roundtable are SNK fanboys. So even if the gameplay is bad, we're gonna buy it. So, but I don't think the gameplay is gonna be bad, because we got games like 14, the game's good, 13, the game's good, 2002 UM is good, even 11. So I don't have like I don't get the feeling that the game is gonna be bad. That's why I'm really worried about the netcode, because I don't want to buy the game and don't be able to play the game properly, because actually in Samsho there are a lot of mechanics you cannot use because of the lag. That's simple, and sometimes you gotta do like become a rush down player even if you're a different type of player just because of lag. And it would be nicer to have like those type of netcodes where the scene can grow and like discover new things that are in the game.
Thank you, Valentine. I think this has been a really great roundtable. I'm really happy that we all got together and talked about this and this matter. I think it's really awesome. I hope we're gonna be able to do this again some other time, maybe some other topic by the time we'll have rollback netcode. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thanks a lot to Gil for co-hosting and for bringing the idea to me to do these things. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Sugar Bear, Violent Kane, Sinjul, and as well as Grimulus, Frionel, and Gunny, even though they already left. So thank you so much, guys. I hope we'll be able to play against each other in King of Fighters 15, hopefully with a good netcode. With that said, you guys stay safe. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone who's watching, who've been here watching the stream with us. Those of you who are here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And again, thank you so much, and you guys stay safe.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.